Hello.
Okay.
Hello. So Josef is a psychologist and healer from Sweden, and Dyonne is a healer from Holland.
And we have Miriam, a philosopher from Sweden.
Yes, and we are talking forever about personal development, this infinitely interesting subject. And last time, Dyonne and I brought up the Myers-Briggs personality typing system.
Yes.
And this, as it happens, Josef has worked with these personality typing systems, and they often get a bad reputation because people don't want to be put in a box, and it feels limiting. But there is some value to it as well. So I just thought I really want to hear this story. Daniel Kahneman is in it.
I also want to hear the story. And before we give the word to Josef, I'd love to just say for people to have an open mind for those, as you say, that are closed-minded in terms of finding it a negative thing. Because what I always say, you need a label as language, as a starting point. And only from there you can elaborate and expand. But you need a language to emphasize something or to underline something, because otherwise you cannot talk about something or you cannot navigate. So but of course there are limitations to everything. It's just as a grid, it's I find it very convenient to know about it, and it serves me at least. But I'm very curious now to hear all about Daniel Kahneman. So Josef, please enlighten us.
No, it's true. It's true. You need some kind of standardization, and the standards are the theories, and but you need it as a platform to go on and create new ones. So it's a standardization for creativity. It sounds crazy because standardization for creativity, but that's how it is.
Structure gives freedom. That's the thing.
Yes. So no, I want to talk about, because I can see there's a lot of interest in these tests of personality, and people really want to find out, and they believe in that, of course, very much. And I was a long time ago. It's almost 40 years ago. I was working with I just came out of the psychology, and I was taken by a professor to work in the army, to deal with the thing that it was a war just a few years back in 73, and I came into in 75, and during the war in 73, which is a very strong war in Israel, it's called the Yom Kippur War, the war of autonomy. And what happened was that during that war, during the day of the holiday, it was a attack as of several fronts by the Arab, especially by Syrian and the Egyptian forces, to go in with big forces, and they knew it was a surprise because everything was shut down. The radio, everything is shut down. So there is no possibility for making a kind of asking people to come to the front. So they just surprised it. And what happened was that the people in the front, the army people in the front, they had only a few tanks to see when these big masses of tanks coming over the border. And when they saw them, some of the people in the tanks just left, wanted to go home, and because it was such a frightening thing. And then the tank didn't work because all the four of them in the tank are needed. If you have one is leaving, then it's all gone. So the problem was, how do you find the personality of the people that will stay there whenever there is a very difficult situation. And we know that in regular life, it doesn't have to be war, that things are getting tough. When things are getting tough, some of your friends are not there.
Yeah.
Or at least things have to get tough until you can see that some of the friends are not what they say to be. Surprises all the time. There are surprises, people say, "Why I thought he would be there, but it was not." And those that I thought would not be the friends, they were other friends. So how come? How come? How come? And we really worked very hard to find these with personality tests to find out Myers-Briggs and all the other things. And we worked very hard to find what are the traits of the people that we can find that really stick together, especially in hard times. And so that you can trust one another, because if one leaves, there is a total break. And like in real life. So we made all these tests, and suddenly, then I worked with all these kind of people from the university, and one of them were it was two of them. It was the Daniel Kahneman and his friend Amos. Yes. So it was, yes, it is Daniel Kahneman, and he was born in Israel also, but and he was in the army together with me at that time, and Amos Tversky, that's his friend. They were really kind of close friends, and they were going to the coffee signs to work together. Anyway, I was there also talking to him, and he was very much into doing all these kind of statistical comparison of trying to look and see how things would turn out statistically in order for people to stay together. But then we were working and said, no, at certain times, this doesn't really find out, because, he said it's true, because we could see that we are actually, let's change these programs and say, let's ask people, instead of asking them how much they would like to stay together with some people, saying voting, that kind of democracy voting, saying in a measure of 1 to 10, where the 10 is strongest, saying, who do you like to be in your team? Who do you like to be in your team? You see this group of soldiers around you. You have them here. You have them on the paper. Just put a sign from 1 to 10 and say 10 for the one that I really, really like to be in my team, and 1 that I really don't, less like. Okay? Then put this out of your hand. We were taking this out, and you get a new one. So it was hard for them, because it was around 50 persons that had to make this kind of scaling. And I said, well, about my friends, yeah, about friends. Now there's a different thing. It's saying from 1 to 10, who do you dislike most from 1 to 10 to be in your team? You wouldn't like to be in the team. It's a very difficult question, because we don't want to ask people who you hate most of all and things like this. But there's your feeling, kind of feeling that these persons don't like to be in your team. And then we were working on this for a long time, and we got so confused, because we found out that people can love one person and hate the same person at the same time. They said, this is not true. How can you love a person and just hate him also at the same time?
But it's not a feeling, right? It has to do with skills and preferences.
Skills and preferences. No, it's about your feelings about. Skills and it's also skills and preferences. It's true.
Your feelings about their skills and preferences, like
yes. You
yes.
prefer someone with certain skills in a certain situation, versus another person.
And then another person saying, "How is that possible? It's totally incomprehensible that you can be both positive and both negative to the same person." And we tried it on several groups, and we found the same things, that people were kind of had the same thing, loving some, hating some. How that? How could that be? Yes, this is part of our personality. We do have things like this. It is possible, and you just can go to yourself and say, yeah, there are some people that I like very much, and there are some parts in him that I dislike.
Yes.
What is stronger? Sometimes I don't bring it up, but not stronger. So we were trying to see, what is it that, what shall we do about this? So we say, let's take those who have a big gap between liking somebody and also disliking a person, saying that's not a good combination for putting him in the team. Because sometimes you would hate the person very much or dislike him very much doing his job, but also you would think that this one is not so because it was all in the preference of sitting in the tank. But okay, so we took that out, and we took out those with the big differences between and we saw that things were really working good in tests of putting them into hard situations, but that was also tests of putting them in difficult situations, giving them orders that are kind of crazy, but they stood up to that. So we found out that the strongest kind of traits of the persons to choose the people around you is the negative ones, because they kind of saying, well, those that you dislike less, of course, is those that we can form a team with. So it's the dislike less, but the dislike comes out, and that is a question that you usually don't ask, So that's a kind of a trait that is the strongest one in order to form and develop the teams. And because in regular life you don't ask these things. And I've been working with this in the organizations, but it's difficult because in Sweden, for example, you cannot use a test where you say people would how much you dislike the other person. So that's unethical to do. So, but you can.
But it's interesting that you say that, Joseph, because in Dutch we really have a saying about the positive side of this one, like, oh, that's a person you could go to war with. I think it's a universal saying way, but we would say that, okay, I might not like that person, but I can go to war with them. That's a saying that we use in the Netherlands a lot. So I don't know how you use it in Sweden, but we do that. We use that one. So it's we
should use it more.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, which means you can change this word of saying, instead of saying, I would marry this person, but
I would not go to war with them. Yes, that's
Yes.
true. Yeah. And
which is impossible because marriage is war. No, I'm joking.
Oh yes.
No, and I know for myself, my marriage is war.
Yes.
My
So,
MBTI personality is INFP, and there's a website, I saw it, they wrote, if you were to want to join the army, let go immediately, because if you are a happy person, the army will make you very desperate and depressed, because an INFP would not flourish in the army. So that's how do you say, a narrative from nowadays, and this was 40 years back. But it's interesting how they would really strongly disadvise me to revisit my wish to join the army, for instance. Yeah. But back to you.
Okay,
sorry for
but
jumping in.
But I mean, you can use this word or the army or anything, because sometimes, even on marriages or workplaces could be like the army, and difficult parts to be in, and how do you develop there, how are you then, how can you develop your person, develop your kind of personality development in these kind of situations. That's a hard part, and I would say that's the most important part also, actually, to see how you develop your personality in harsh situations.
How you develop your personality in harsh situations. Let's end it here and then continue with the next episode about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.